Working very hard to make sure everyone is getting served. We are just a couple of minutes behind schedule, but I think it's important to note that the teams and the servers here are working very, very hard. So if you don't mind, let's give them a round of applause. We're going to begin right now. You're welcome to continue eating. Actually, don't. Hold your thoughts for just a second. I'm going to go off script for a moment, but this is really important. And I didn't do this right at the top of the hour because we are streaming now, and I wanted this to go out as far as possible. We have our special guest here today, but I've also noticed that we have some servicemen and women in the house. This is not part of the script, but if you have served or are currently serving in the U.S. Armed Forces, would you please stand up for a moment? Thank you. Notice I didn't have to ask them to applause. I didn't have to ask them to clap. I didn't have to ask to give you any special attention. It's something that everybody here is doing from their heart. And that is the very least that I can do and that others can do is give you honor and clap for you. No matter what the political climate is right now, you have made, or at the time, you have made the sacrifice of your time and your body and to some extent your lives for our country. And for whatever reason our leaders do what they do, you've made that sacrifice. And one more time, we want to honor you. Thank you all very, very much. My name is Jade Fulford. I own a handful of companies in the area. None of them are really good, so we're not going to talk about that. Speaking of not really good, one of my companies, Livestream Media, we're live streaming this event globally, all around the country. So you at home eating Cheetos and watching the gala, we're going to ask you for some money later. So go get that out of your couch or wherever you put it because you're at home and not being right here. If we can take a wide camera shot right now and show the audience at home, the audience here, the good food that we're eating and the good time that we're having. Everybody say hello to that camera right over there. You guys are funny. There's no mic on you guys. What are y'all doing? I'm supposed to, as MC, they said, tell a few jokes and tell a little story and introduce Dan and Kathy. And I guess I need to work through that. The problem is I'm the father of 5 children. And all I have is dad jokes. So I'm so sorry. I guess I could ask, how do you make an octopus laugh? 10 tickles. Just 10 tickles. Oh, thank you. Before I share a very brief story with you, Ryan Chamberlain in the back, I don't know if you can raise your hand. Ryan Chamberlain has become a real fast friend of mine, and he's also one of our table sponsors. And he wrote a script for me to share. Ryan, you and I met for the first time in person just now. I don't do scripts, man. So sorry about that. But what I do want to say, and the reason I don't do scripts, by the way, is because I really like to stand behind the things that I believe in, and I just don't believe. No, I'm kidding. Ryan Chamberlain has founded TPN, the True Patriot Network, and if I were to explain what that is to you, think of it as not a Facebook competitor, though it is a social network. It's a safe place for you and your family and your children, your daughters, your sons. It's a safe place for them to have an open conversation. It's not about fighting the system. It's not about us, them versus Facebook. It's not about that kind of political stuff. But what they are working to do, and they're working very hard, what they are working to do is to build a network of people that don't want to be hushed and other things. But it's not just that. So I would encourage you. There's a link over there. GetTPN. What is that? .org. gettpn.net/sctb. We're going to post that on some other stuff later, but if you guys want to sign up, right now it's close to an invitation-only network. It's open. It's open to a very small few. You guys get to be some of the few. It's growing. I say small few. There's thousands now. There's going to be more. But I wanted to say that, and not from a sponsorship side, but from a side where I got to chat with Ryan, and I believe in what he's doing. And look, he's like, politics aside, our children need a safe place. So that's good. Ryan, thank you for coming. I see that Ryan also brought his daughter with him. I'm sorry, that's his wife, his very beautiful wife. Man, you married up, my friend. Real quick, before we introduce, I want to share a quick story with you, and I want to give you a little bit of a warning. If you're religious, if you're from a Spirit-filled church, there's a chance I'm about to offend you. There is a chance I'm about to offend you. What I can say is if what I say is about to offend you, by the way, I'm from a Spirit-filled church as well. If I say something that offends you, later this afternoon we're going to do appeal, and we're going to ask you to open your checkbooks for a very important reason. When that happens, whatever you think about giving, take that. If you're mad at me, take it and double it, because then Dan could afford to hire an MC that won't make everybody mad. I want to tell you a story real quick. I want to tell you a story of David and Goliath. Who in this room, raise your hand if you don't know the story of David and Goliath. Okay. Wow, there's a lot of you that, no, I'm kidding. I have a different thought on the David and Goliath story, and this is the part where I could offend you, but this is a perception. It's just a thought. I don't think David and Goliath, I don't think that was an underdog story. I think Goliath was at a disposition, and I think David was a marksman. Now, from hearing that without an explanation, you're going to think, oh, now wait a minute, you're starting to take away the miracle that happened. Well, I didn't, and I'll tell you why later. So let me tell you why I think Goliath was already going to fail. Not because the obvious, God already wanted that to happen, but how tall? Who shouted out? How tall was Goliath? If we had 10 feet tall. Do we have any doctors in the room? Okay, so 10 feet tall Goliath. There's a very common vision problem. It's a syndrome. It's called Marlar Syndrome. And it affects a very, very large percentage of really tall people. This is not in the Bible. I'm not trying to spin something from the Bible. That's not. They didn't say anything about that in the Bible. But I'm thinking this is very, 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 very common thing. And then I'm thinking that Goliath is led down the hill into the valley to where he's calling for a challenger. And he's led by the hill. So I'm thinking that Goliath can't see very well. He's strong. He's very strong. And hand-to-hand combat, one of the greatest, is written as one of the greatest, okay? Or one of the strongest, rather. So he had to be led down the hill. And then when David comes to him, staff in hand, he says to David, "Who am I, a dog, that you come to me with sticks?" Goliath has double vision, right? 2 staffs, 2 sticks. Again, this is my opinion. Now let's look at David. David was a shepherd. David was a good shepherd. Was a very good shepherd. And shepherds protected their flock against really ferocious animals. Really, really ferocious animals. And also, it's also very known that a shepherd is a bit of a marksman. With his sling, a shepherd